in your eyes. I see danger on the other side, yeah. The skin is wet within your skies. The exo sunsets and your planet dies. That's how you want it to be. That's your place across the sea. That space of astronomy. That's where you want to be. You're a stranger in my eyes. I saw danger on the other side. That's how you want it to be. That's your place across the sea in a vast space of astronomy. That's where you want it to be. On the other side. That's how you want it to be. That's your place across the sea in a vast space of astronomy. That's where you want it to be.
Oh, I was muted that whole time. Okay. Welcome to Saturday Jazz. Welcome to Saturday Jazz on the LeBrain train. We're doing it on Saturday this week because we have Aaron from the Keeps Me Alive with us, and he's only available Saturdays. So we saved jazz for him. We also have author Robert Lawson joining us tonight. He has a 1,000 strong jazz collection. I saw a picture of his CD collection today. It's quite awesome. Sending the link to Dr. Dave. We have Aaron on deck waiting to join us. You know what? I'm going to bring Aaron on. Bring Aaron on because I got some stuff I'm going to unbox, and he has something that he got in the mail this week. Hey, buddy. There it is.
Hello.
There, we'll zoom in here, give you a good view. There's the Tim Derling book. Adventures in 8 Tracks Unspooled.
Yes. And because I'm a super special person, it's autographed.
Wow. Sweet.
Yeah, I know. And I got with it a bookmark.
Yeah.
And I got with it some interesting, like they're like galley sheets or proofs or something. This is the cover. That's it's just blank.
Yeah, he included that sort of as protective material over the book, so I threw some your way.
It's awesome. And there's a proof of a page.
Yeah.
And it's signed too.
Tim still has some books for sale, so if you want
go
a
get
copy,
one,
go get one. Yeah.
Go now.
Change the background to something. There we go, something less busy. I want to do some unboxings, but I also want to say my voice feels burned out. I'm feeling pretty tired because I was up early this morning doing a taping with Tim Durling, and we did this. I will show you. Oh yeah. We did that band right there, Helix. And this will be going up in 2 weeks, I believe, on the Tim's Vinyl Confessions site. But that's
Helix CDs
and one vinyl in the bottom right corner.
Good Lord.
That's basically as much
awesome.
Helix as I could fit on a scanner bed.
You're telling me you have more?
Yeah, there's more vinyl. Yeah, and DVD.
Wow.
So I'm tired. That's why I'm wearing the shirt. But I'm tired. But you guys will be doing most of the talking tonight. You guys are the jazz experts.
I'd like to say off the top that I don't consider myself an expert at all.
I do.
I appreciate that. I said to Kevin, I've been listening most of my life, and I don't feel like I know anything about it.
I'm going to do a quick unboxing here. I just got the new Jacob Moon in the mail. This is the second thing I ever crowdfunded, with the Tim Durling book being the first. So
nice.
Here's the new Jacob Moon, Under a Setting Sun.
Ooh.
There you go. 6 tracks.
6 tracks. Okay.
Oh, look at that. And it is signed.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Jacob.
I love his CDs.
Cool.
That's awesome. I have a bunch of them here.
Yeah. I have a few, but hang on. There we go. Okay, this is the very first Journey on CD.
Oh, is that a hard thing to find or something, or just you didn't
at a good price? At a good price,
okay.
Yeah. This is a result of Tim and I talking last week, doing that Journey episode.
Right.
It kind of made me want to get this. He mentioned the cheesy cover art, and yeah.
I think it's awesome.
It's awesome too. And finally, this one is Harrison's fault.
A lot of things are his fault.
A lot of things are his fault, but he recommended this, and he better have been. I have mixed feelings. We'll see what this is like.
KK's Priest. Okay.
KK's Priest. Yeah. He's got that single Hellfire Thunderbolt. What kind of title is Hellfire Thunderbolt? I don't know. We'll find out. Harrison, your reputation is on the line with that one.
Hey, he's the Blaze Bailey guy, so I'm not going to say anything.
He is indeed the Blaze Bailey guy. We had Dr. Dave waiting on deck. He is not waiting on deck anymore.
Oh.
We have Robert in the waiting room, but we have to give him a bigger introduction than the other guys, of course. He's got the special intro. I'm going to run for you. I made this. Now, you know what? We'll save it for when we start the list. All right. Well, we got a few minutes to kill before 7.
Sure.
You know what? Why don't we bring on Robert? Robert, are you okay? Are you good to go? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, Robert's good. Let's bring him on, shall we? He's here. Let's do it.
The Brain Train is proud to present Robert Lawson.
Oh. Wow,
Hello.
look at that wall behind you.
This is part of it.
That's impressive.
I
It's nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, Aaron.
Yes.
we're getting a little bit of echo. I think it might be coming from your end, Robert.
Oh,
How's that? Any better?
Yes. How are you
Here,
doing
yeah.
tonight?
I'm good.
Technical
Just
support.
random hand.
Robert, this is my good buddy Aaron. I've known him for 26 years, and he's been a jazz fan for life, I guess, right?
I grew up. Part of my growing up listening was my nana's old big band and swing records. So yeah, it's been a long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Robert, what's your history with jazz?
I guess I got turned on to it early from my father, who's a big music guy, and it was just always part of the stuff that I listened to. It no real difference between. Well, I always say, like, when I was a kid, I was just so interested in music that I didn't know the difference between good music and bad music. So when I got an album, I didn't know that like one song was the single and that was the most popular song, and another song was filler. I didn't know any of that. I would just listen to 10 songs on an album and, either love it all or love some of it. But, like when I got my first copy of Dream Police in 79, I didn't know that the song Dream Police was more famous than, Gonna Raise Hell or Need Your Love or whatever. Like, to me, I just kind of accepted it all. And so I was kind of that way with genres as well, I guess. So jazz was pretty early for me. I started, I guess I went to my first jazz concert in like 81 or 82. So I would have been like 13 or I don't know, pretty young. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to have you here tonight. I guess you just saw that we were doing jazz this week and you were like, I want a piece of that.
Yeah, right. I've seen your post. I was like, yeah, that's a great album. That's a good album. That's a great album.
Yeah, I was doing some listening this week. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I decided with my list to go with stuff that I owned because it's the stuff I'm the most familiar with rather than, the crash course that I took this week.
Sure.
But I can wait to hear about your favorites. All right, so we have Dr. Dave back in the waiting room, and we're just awaiting the arrival of Eric Litwiller. So let's get the show on the road, shall we?
One-way ticket to anywhere and a glazed donut to go. The brain train. The brain train. All aboard.
All right, so Dr. Dave has been popping in and out. Hey, Dr. Dave.
Hi.
Are you going to
Hello.
stay this time?
What do you mean stay?
You kept popping on and off.
Oh, I was getting double, like it was a remix, but they just put a slightly delayed version on top of the original. It was weird.
In other words, you were getting an echo.
Oh, big time.
Okay.
Big time. It's fine now, though.
Everybody's okay?
Yeah. Me
Dave,
be
this is
here
Robert.
presently. Howdy. Where's my... There we go.
Hello. Hey.
And you've never met Aaron before either, but Aaron's a
Oh.
Max the Axe fan.
Howdy. Oh, God.
Yes, definitely.
Where's Mr.
Oh.
Litwiller?
He's coming.
Okay.
He had to, do some stuff.
ODP, probably.
Great. This is absolutely fantastic. I can't believe it. Mr. Litwiller's late again.
Yeah. I hope I can stay awake. I helped Tom move today.
Oh,
Yeah. And it's the first time I've done something like that in a few years.
I'm pretty
And I
tired,
already
too.
feel it. Tomorrow's going to be terrible.
I
But that's what this is for.
understand completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just quickly, what's your background with jazz? When did you first get jazzed?
I got jazzed in the late 90s. That's when I was trying to learn guitar. And so that's kind of where I entered jazz. So one of my picks tonight is a definite nod to that.
Okay.
But I didn't stay all fusion-y, like it's all Alan Holdsworth and Al Di Meola, and I went all the you'll notice that there's a time period that I prefer, but I also go way earlier than that. I mean,
Okay.
I like ragtime, or not ragtime, Dixieland as well. So, but I
me
didn't do
too.
that today. But yeah, it just gradually went on and on.
I have
It's
a
not the
happened here.
easiest listening, but that's part of what I like about it.
Yeah, you know what? I was listening. Well, no, I'm not going to tell you what I was listening to. It's on the list. I was listening to something in the car today, and it was there was a challenge to it. Paying attention, hearing what's going on, but then there was a payoff too.
Oh yeah,
That's what I was about to say. That's always challenging, but there's always a reward.
Yeah.
Always. Mm-hmm. In
So
fact, my
what's
first record tonight is going to be one that just most people would wonder what the heck I was talking about.
So what's the
Okay.
excuse here? What is what are we doing?
he's probably putting the dog down.
Putting
it down?
I hope you meant that.
Well,
in a-
Phrasing.
Phrasing. No, just down on the ground. He's been pestering me since I got here, and thank God the door is closed.
Oh, are you guys on the same camera tonight?
I'm at his place, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're in two separate rooms, which is ideal.
Oh, okay. So he's gonna log in separate.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Okay.
taking so long.
You know what's wonderful is that this was his idea to do this, and he's late. And we have a special guest tonight. We have Robert, who's spending he could be, at this exact moment, he could be listening to the jazz, but he's wasting his time waiting on Mr. Litwiller.
Well, proselytize.
We have him. Okay, let's bring him on. There he is, the final ingredient. Hey, Eric.
Hey there. How's it going?
Eric, you know everybody except for Robert.
Yes. Hi, Robert. I
Hey.
did see the show that you guys did about the Cheap Trick. That was cool.
Great.
He did that show the exact same weekend that you and I did this gentleman's show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the new album that you probably haven't seen before.
I've seen the cover, but yeah,
He signed it.
that's cool. Right on.
All right. So without further ado, this was Eric's suggestion to do jazz. Aaron's the biggest jazz beau I know. Dr. Dave wanted to take part, and then Robert saw me posting about it and said, "Let me at him." And that's how it went down. So let's get started. This is the Cinco de Listo Jazz Edition, and I've put together a special jazz Cinco de Listo intro for us. So
nice.
I'm going to hit play on this, and then Aaron will go with your number 5 pick. Here we go. Cinco de Listo.
Welcome, Nighthawks. We've been expecting you. The hour's late, but the party is just getting started. I'm Alistair Kovacs, your host for a sophisticated little soiree with jazz, stimulating conversation, beautiful ladies, more jazz. Look, it's Charlie, sincerely one of the best white non-union jazz pianists in the entire city, top 5. Charlie, play some of those notes you know I like.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You got my fingers in a baseball. Say go, then let's go. The pentagram made crystal. Say go, then let's go. Got 5 bones left in the pixel. Say go, then let's go. One bullet shy of a pistol. Say go, then let's go. Say go, then let's go. Say go, then let's go. Say go, then let's
Stop down on a bitty bitty gooby doo, dip bop dip bop oh. Say the doodly poodly hey, a diddly golly hey, a you lap it on skip bop dee bum, billy dilly don't put down. I see bop it on skip bop dee la bill la put on say, hey la bill to parallel lumbrel don't see mountain bark de landy latina scoop parallel. Feel like in a pit don't see left in up in a school. I see that see live diddly la pop 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 do do pop bill latina sit down live la bit of pita hey, do la pull la do pop the dill la bit of do pop the get back in a go pop pop.
Okay, that was a little indulgent.
And that's our show.
Anyway, I was just having some fun doing some editing. Anyway, Aaron, your
Yes.
number 5 jazz pick.
Okay. Well, I don't number them. Remember, I just. pick
Oh,
'em.
you're not okay.
Yeah.
You do it
Yes.
your
Yes.
way.
We've been
You
doing
do it
this a
your
long
way.
time. I just. First of all, also, I have a friend here
Yes.
that I have placed here in honor of Mike, because of an email that I received earlier this week. So he's always within view of my desk, always. So my first pick is one that I said that probably people are gonna wonder about. Now, also, all records that I own, all on LP, and I want to say that choosing 5 jazz albums is it's silly. Come on. I could do 5 Miles Davis albums with my eyes closed and 3 Sheets to the Wind. So
100%.
Picking 5 jazz albums, no. That's why I said it should be 500. Anyway, my first one has Art Blakey on drums, John
Yay!
Coltrane on saxophone, Coleman Hawkins also on saxophone, Ray Copeland on trumpet, and Thelonious Monk. This is Thelonious Monk's music.
We'll do a zoom in for you.
It is
All right,
from.
Show it one more time.
Yep. It
There
is
we go.
from 1957. And it is probably the most challenging listen. And I love it to pieces. It is. Anyone else here has heard Thelonious Monk? They know exactly what I'm talking about when you're listening
Yes.
to it, and you feel like you have to go back because the phrase you just heard is being overwritten by the phrase he's playing now, but you want to digest the phrase you just heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monk's Dream is an honorable mention for me, and his rhythms
Yep.
are so weird. Like they sound spastic, but
Yeah.
they're still within key, and it does actually make sense in a strange way.
It's just
He's an acquired taste for sure.
Yeah.
well, yeah, but acquired honestly.
Yeah.
You know, and
Sure.
with really great players. I must have, I don't even know how many Monk albums here between LP and CD, and every single one. Yeah, Monk's Dream, the Saint, whatever it is. What is that called? Anyway, yes. So that's my first one. I'm putting that out there first, and then it sort of gets a little easier from there.
Okay.
I didn't know where to put that one, but I do recommend it.
You've seen the
Okay,
Monk
thank you,
documentary?
Aaron.
No, but I've read the book. There's
So
a
the documentary is called Straight No Chaser, and it's incredible because it's a
That's
mix
another good
of
album.
footage of him touring Europe, and also just him backstage and talking to people, and you see how kind of unhinged he is. And then when he gets to the piano, of course, he's brilliant. But it's a great documentary. I think Warner Brothers put it out on DVD. Really interesting and entertaining.
I need to.
I
Look
have
for
my
that.
book and I'm making a note.
I need to look for that. Mhm.
Straight
All right,
No
Robert.
Chaser.
So that segues into
Thank you,
your
that's
number
cool.
5 pick.
I also don't have them numbered. I just
Okay.
I picked 5 CDs or 5 artists from kind of different areas, just so I could cover a few different things. And I also have I have 3 box sets that I brought along just to kind of show for fun. That are they're all 3 of them are pretty over the top.
Oh,
But so if I'm going kind of in, I guess, reverse chronological order, I want to have a guitar guy. And this one covers guitar and one of the greatest bass players in jazz. So it's the first, where am I? It's the first
There
Pat
we go.
Metheny CD, Bright Sized Life with Jaco Pastorius on bass.
Yes.
So great introduction to Pat. I've been a big fan for a long time. He goes in a few different areas. I don't love everything that he does, although his new album is fantastic, Live in New York. But this is really just a great introduction to Pat, and you get Jaco's fretless bass playing. I almost picked Jaco's first solo album, but this one, and I could have picked some Weather Report as well to kind of represent Jaco because I love them as well. But yeah, Pat Metheny, 6 and 12 string guitar on here, just beautiful stuff, lovely.
Nice.
I think I
And
need to
very
make
hard to
mine.
go wrong with anything
That's
on
a-
ECM.
Yeah,
That's great
for,
too.
for sure. And that's one of the things I was going to mention to Mike. With jazz, like with other genres, you can follow certain labels and almost never be let down. So Blue Note has their own style, and you're going to get really strong releases from them. I'm a big Impulse guy. I love Impulse. Almost anything on Impulse is worth it to me. And then, you got Atlantic and, of course, Sony, their own
Verve
label. Verve is great. I used to be more of a Verve guy, and then I got more into Impulse. But yeah, with any of those labels, you're in pretty good hands.
Yep.
Well, I think I might be interested in
ECM
adding
is
that one to
great.
my wish list. You kind of had me at 6 and 12 string guitars.
Oh, it's great.
And Jaco.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jaco. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the man.
I just want to quickly say hi to James McCurry watching from Scotland. Good to see you, my friend.
And he is right about that
That's-
album.
Yes, that is. And I'm sorry I couldn't remember the title of it.
That's a Mingus album.
That's
though.
Mingus.
That's
Oh, it's
not mine.
Mingus. It's
Yeah.
Mingus.
Yeah.
Right.
I
See,
wondered.
I'm already losing.
I wondered if that's what you were. When you said Black Saint,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you meant the Mingus record.
Yeah.
I have a
No, no,
Mingus here. I think.
Sorry, I'll be back in a second. I'm losing my mind.
Okay.
You're talking about this one.
Oh, wow.
That's Jaco's. Yeah.
That's
That's a good album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
I
Dr.
almost
Dave.
love that.
Bewildering as a bass player to listen to that stuff.
I
But
know.
my number one album is actually a bass player. But right now, starting off, my last 2 are basically 1A and 1B. The other 3 are just important.
Okay.
But one of the ones, my first one is one that I have on in the background a lot. And that's Benny Goodman, the Carnegie Hall Jazz concert with Gene Krupa on drums. Just, and if you get a really good version of it, you get the story of the concert in the liner notes and how it was this really cold day in New York City. They didn't know how many people they would have out, but they ended up having to have people on either side of the stage for the whole concert because they just didn't have enough room. It's incredibly fun. It's swing. So it's got a lot of horns going on, but it's very fun. Like it's very up-tempo and fun. And that's one of my most listened to jazz albums in the last 5 years, 10 years.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'll be adding a lot of stuff to my wish list after tonight. All right, Mr. Tardy.
Yes. So yeah, like Aaron said, it's like picking 5 is silly. There's no doubt about it. So like I just tried not to pick more than one of any artist of my 5. And basically, I mean, my gateway drug into jazz, probably the early 90s, was the Dixie Dregs. And it just got me into it large. And like usual, many times in my life, I'm sitting there at Paul McLeod's, and we may have had a few jazz cigarettes. Well, so he puts on an album, and I'm just like, wait a second, I've just had the greatest a revelation that the Dixie Dregs aren't this a completely original thing that I've never heard before. Because I was listening to my number 5 pick, if you want to put that up, Mike. The Intermounting Flame by the Mahavishna Orchestra. It's weird. After listening to albums that I had originally picked, all 5 of my albums were like original, like the old style jazz, because that's really what I love. But then when I listened to that again, I was just like, oh my, this is just so good, and it really is. It just had to be on my list, so it's crept in at number 5 there. I mean, Billy Cobham is the hardest.
He's a monster.
The hardest hitting. It's like he's basically a mix between the Incredible Hulk and the Thing. While he's playing, and
he very easily could have been an amazing heavy metal drummer.
Oh, for sure.
He stayed in jazz, and his solo stuff is really cool.
It is, and the band. It's Jan Hammer, it's John McLaughlin, it's Billy Cobham. Like, come on, and the album is so good. I highly recommend that. I was listening to it with Bucky the other night, and we agreed, there are moments of it that it's almost like metal jazz. Like it's so aggressive. It's a great album. And
why that one and not the other one, the yellow one, Birds of Fire, is it?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is,
that's the one I prefer.
That's the one that Paul McLeod played me, but I preferred this album. Extremely big fan of the opening track, A Meeting of the Spirits. It just had to be there, and that should go on your wish list too, Mike, because you would absolutely dig John McLaughlin as a guitar player. I guarantee that.
I have a very fond saying, which is, "You guys love spending my money."
Sure.
Well,
I wish I could do it in person.
Yeah. Well, soon enough, my friend. Maybe we can make a Toronto record store excursion again. Like, Robert, you work in Toronto at a record store, so
that's right.
You don't have to disclose where, but I'll definitely come and see you. As soon as I feel ready.
Awesome.
Great. But in terms of your list and your shopping list that we're gonna, I definitely have one thing on here that's not going on your shopping list.
Okay.
Probably should have gone on anyone's shopping list.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Okay, so I am the jazz novice here compared to you fine gentlemen. But I have a modest, collection, and I inherited a whole bunch of CDs from Jen's mom when she passed. And out of the blue, preparing for this week, I put on this one. It had been never opened; it was still sealed, and I put it on. And obviously, once you get past "It's a Wonderful, What a Wonderful World," which just reminds me of funerals. Once you get past that song, I'm into "Hello, Dolly," and I'm just like, and then I get to "Mac the Knife," and I'm even, I'm strutting. I'm strutting around the room. I'm dancing. I'm shaking my ass, and I'm having a great time. And that's what this CD did to me. And it's special to me because I got it from her mom. And I'm glad I finally put it in and listened to it a number of times this week. Gone Fishing's another one I love. This just makes me feel good. Makes me want to dance. And I know, Aaron, I know you're a huge Louis Armstrong fan, and you can pontificate upon what I don't know. But
No.
a good start to discovering Louis.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Any of them. Just get him in your ears.
Anything.
Yeah.
He's absolutely
Any of it.
He's absolutely right.
I mean, I was absolutely stunned because, I mean, it's basically you wouldn't delete anything, and it's like it's one of those euphoric first experiences.
The best
So, yeah.
kind.
That would be my number 5, and you got to start at the ground, right?
If you get the Louis Armstrong on the Hot 7, that sounds really good. There was a box set at one point that I think was his Hot 5 and Hot 7 together that Columbia put out. But there's lots of great Satch out there.
On my honorable mentions, and very close to making my list was the Louis Armstrong, and Ella Fitzgerald record. I think there's actually 2 of them, but it was the first one specifically where they're sitting in the chairs. That thing is just absolutely chock full of nothing but incredible music. The whole thing.
There used to be a 3 CD set that was the complete Louis, like the sessions that the 2 of them did together. I don't know if you can still get it, but that was a Verve. Came in this weird accordion blue thing with a ribbon around it, and it was this kind of fancy thing. So that's out there, and there's a single disc compilation of that as well.
Very cool. Well, as a segue, the gentleman to my, I guess that's to my left. On screen, though, it's to your right. To my right. His original email address, if I remember, was Satchmo or something like that, like Satchmo@hotmail.com. So I mean, there's the guy right there.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a fan.
My email was Fraley72, and here's Satchmo. So tells you a little bit of where our heads are at.
That's funny.
Well, and like I said, I came by that honestly. I grew up on that stuff. You know, my Nana's old records, the Glenn Miller and the Benny Goodman and the Louis Armstrong and the Ella, and she would tell stories about, because they lived in Chatham, so they would go down through Windsor to Detroit to go to shows after the war. And one night they went down and they saw Duke Ellington and Ella Fitzgerald together, and I went, "What?" No problem. Just mind-blowing stuff. Really cool.
Well, you feel free to go ahead with your number 4 then, my friend.
Oh, right. I guess it's my turn. This is one that's probably going to seem a little bit easier after Monk, just about anything is. So this one's from 1959. New York City, known for its weird time signatures. Joe Morello, Eugene Wright, Paul Desmond on saxophone, and Mr. Dave Brubeck on the piano.
Yeah.
Love
That's
it.
an honorable mention for me. That was probably my number 6.
It's
Love
huge. I love this album. Everything about it. And you guys already know it, so there's nothing I need to say about it, but I could put this on any. I have an LP and a CD so that I am never without.
Oh.
And it's ripped to my MP3s as well, so I can play it anywhere at any time.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's like one of those cool jazz sort of albums. You put it on, and then it's sad when it's over.
Yeah.
I have a
Or
bit
you can always just drop that needle again.
I do.
Yeah. Or hit
I have
repeat.
I have a bit of a Dave Brubeck story.
Ooh, that's
cool.
It's not good.
Oh. So maybe we don't. Do we want to hear that?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So I was a manager of a Tower Records in Sacramento, California, for a few years, and at the time, Dave Brubeck lived just a little bit north up the coast. So I leave work one day as normal at 6 o'clock or whatever, and I find out that shortly after I left, he showed up in the store asking if there was any jazz guys he could talk to, because he wanted to shop in our jazz section, and my office was sort of just off of the jazz department, coincidentally, and so they were basically like paging me and like looking for me so that I could assist Mr. Brubeck in the jazz section. And I was at home. I had no idea this was happening. And I kicked myself ever since for not staying late that day. The one day I should have stayed late.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
I was so close. I was like, I missed him by 20 minutes or something. They should have phoned me at home. I would have rushed back.
Don't feel too bad. I mean, what could you possibly tell that guy about jazz, though? Honestly, I know you know a lot, but he's like, stay friggin' brutal.
Well, I think it was more he just wanted someone to, go get the stuff for him or something, and he wanted it to be somebody kind of reasonable, Plus, I would have just grabbed the whole section and had him sign everything and rang myself through later.
Well, that's good stuff. That's not as bad as I was fearing. I mean, that's
no.
It's tragic, but it's not as bad as I was fearing.
Get this one.
My Rod Stewart story is way worse than that, but we'll save that for another show.
Oh boy.
Most Rod Stewart stories are way worse than that, probably.
I'm gonna guess you didn't think he was sexy.
It's hard for me to tell it without crying, and that's the truth.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there. But Robert, go ahead with your number 4.
So this is a two-parter because this is a guy that I love a lot, except he goes in all kind of different places, and I haven't listened to him in a long time. Now I think he's kind of doing elevator music, so I stay away from him. But his early stuff on Blue Note is fantastic, and then later he kind of went electric when he was signed to Columbia. So I'm representing both of those. So we have Maiden Voyage by Herbie Hancock.
Oh, that's one of the ones I listened to this week.
Right. Great record. It's practically a Miles Davis quintet album because you have Ron Carter and Tony Williams, George Coleman, who also played with Miles, and then Freddie Hubbard in the trumpet chair. And then later, Herbie gets into electric music with Headhunters, which has always been a big favorite of mine. My wife loves it a lot. So that's like two different eras of Herbie, and really shows kind of the width of his talents. I mean, he's like one of my top guys. He's definitely one of my top 5 piano guys. But like I said, I haven't really listened to anything he's done in a long time. Because when I hear little bits of it, it doesn't do anything for me. But I like all of his Blue Note sides, a lot of the Columbia stuff. I do have, I think I have a 2-disc Warner Brothers compilation. There's lots and lots of great stuff. I think maybe a lot of mainstream or non-jazz people know the name, and maybe you know him from, he had that big hit called Rocket in the early 80s.
Yeah.
But he was a true jazz guy for like a long time. There's a famous story of him first. He's going to rehearse with Miles Davis for the first time, and Miles shows him an electric piano. And, Herbie is a purist at that point. He's only playing acoustic jazz music. I think Aaron knows this story. So Miles shows him this electric piano, and Herbie says, "What is that, a toy?" And then years later, he's all playing electric instruments. So we have Miles to thank for that. So that's it. Herbie,
that is a good story.
2 from Herbie.
That's cool.
Nice.
That's allowed. Sure, why not, right?
Well, myself, Meat, and Mr. Ladano have all heard Wiggle Waggle at least once up at the farm in Sausage Fest this weekend. I'm sure Wiggle Waggle is played up there.
We've heard Watermelon Man.
Wiggle Waggle off of Fat Albert Rotunda.
Okay.
Oh,
great album.
Well,
love that album.
A Watermelon Man has played many times up in the valley.
Yep.
There's another Herbie Hancock track that played up in the valley that led to one of my picks, but we'll get there.
Oh, well, I like it when it has a theme.
Yeah. Anyway, Dave, you go ahead with your number 4. Actually, you know what? Hold on a second. I wanted to ask Robert a question real quick. I'm just curious because I know you're a CD guy. And I'm in your own personal collection. It looks like you tend to go for like the remasters with the bonus tracks. Is that what you strive to collect for your own personal interests?
Well, what happened was, I was collecting a lot of the CDs as they were first coming out. And then, they started doing these remasters with bonus tracks and liner notes. So I started getting all those and getting rid of my original issues. And now I'm slowly getting those back again. So and actually, one of my, here I have like 4 copies of something I'm going to show you just to show how sick it is. So now I'm actually kind of going back, and, there was a Guess Who CD that when they first put it out, they did a vinyl rip of it. So not very good at all, and then eventually they corrected it, and that's the one to get. And then they did a remastered one with a couple of bonus tracks and liner notes, and that's really the one to get. So I had those two, which are great versions of that album. But something was bugging me, and I'm like, I really want that one that's just a rip off the vinyl that sounds like crap. And like I had to have it. So I kind of now I go back and forth. I tend to get the remastered CDs with the bonus tracks. But there's something about having those original versions of the CDs without the bonus tracks, so they just play as I originally heard them. And I don't know if that exactly answers your question.
No,
so
it totally answers.
I'm kind of a bit of both, you know. So for certain albums, like the first Boston, I think I have like 3 or 4 different CDs, and they all sound all the same, you know, really basically. I don't listen to any of this stuff. I just collect it, you know. I don't have time to.
No, the reason I asked you is because you know, lately in a lot of my conversations with other collectors, I find that they are tending to keep every version that they come across. And you know, last week I was talking to a guy about rare CDs, and he's like, "Okay, this is the West German printing of this from 1984." It's like, you know, I used to have that, and I sold it to upgrade to the remaster with the bonus tracks. And now I'm kind of like you, where I feel like I kind of want to go back and get that original again.
There's definitely a market that's come up in the last few years of collectors wanting exactly that, the original CD pressings as they came out. Even though some of them don't sound very good, but some of the remasters are like brick walled to death.
Right.
You know, they're just way too hot in the mix. So there's something to be said for both of them. You know, I remember getting a CD this is years and years ago. It was like the third or the second Little Steven album. And it was like my third version of it on CD. And my girlfriend at the time said, "Well, why are you getting another one? Does this have more songs or something?" And I said, "Actually, it has less." The normal CD has 10 songs. This one's edited for some reason. It only has 8 songs on it, but I had to have it.
Better flow.
I admire that. Anyway, Dave, sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead with your number 4.
No. Actually, I'm going to change my order now because my next album is Mr. Obvious Kind of Blue. And I understand that, and I mean, it's so obvious, but I listened to it last night and I fucking love every minute of it. That's all there is to it. And what I understand, though, is that in the original vinyl pressing, the tape wasn't rolling fast enough, and it was actually slightly out of pitch. And they had to digitally correct that later. So you do want a later version of that CD, like the Columbia Legacy, I think it is.
Yes.
So
that blew my mind when I read that in the liner notes. That, you know,
people were buying that album, and it was like just slightly off pitch, and like maybe that made it better. I don't know, but maybe that's why someone would want to buy that, right, Robert?
I'd want both.
Yeah.
Kind of Blue is an exact example of what I was just talking about. I had the original CD, which I don't know. I don't even remember where I got it. I guess I was in the university or something. And it even has a different picture of him on the cover. It's not the cover of Kind of Blue. It's got a live shot of him. So I just, I didn't like it. It's the wrong cover, and it doesn't sound that great. So they remastered it. I got that one, got rid of the thing. Then there's a 2-disc deluxe edition. I got that. I got a super audio, and I think now I have a 3-disc version. It was always kind of bugging me that I still didn't have that original one with the wrong cover and stuff. And about a year or two ago, my mother-in-law, turns out she had it, and she gave it to me. I was so happy to get it.
Oh, wow.
I don't think I even listened to it. I just filed it, but it's there, and I'm so happy that it's there with the wrong picture on the cover.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, too, because I'm nuts about obscure formats and players and whatnot. So you mentioned you got the super audio version. Do you have a way of listening to the super audio?
Of course not.
I love it. See, I love it, and I'm just discovering that side of collecting too. Like my buddy Tim that we were talking about earlier, who collects 8 tracks. He doesn't have a way of playing them. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to play them. I'm just learning so much more about my passion, which is collecting, through guys like yourself. So I will continue to pepper you with collecting questions tonight. But On to Eric with your number 4.
I just want to say very quickly, and I really hope I don't get lambasted for this, but as much as I love the album Kind of Blue, and I've listened to it many, many times, Miles Davis would never be on a list like this for me because something about Miles didn't register a groove to me that I've never really sunk in to Miles Davis as much as many others. There we go. There we go. Do I like Miles Davis? Yes. But do I get wrapped in what Miles Davis does? Not always. You know, I mean, it's not a negative thing. It's just not an overly positive thing. So I guess that's a sacred cow that I'm cow tipping.
Security.
The heart. Yeah, security. Remove this man.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Anyway, come back to that.
My number 4.
You don't want to know how many Miles Davis CDs I have.
No, I'm quite sure. My number 4, and it's interesting. It plays into the thing with a bonus tracks and whatever. In '98, when I was working at the record store that I'm supposedly not allowed to say what it is. That's when my jazz thing just exploded, and I was getting so many things of just picking up everything. And I remember getting an album, and it was a '98 a reissue of like that album that was obviously a much older and expanded, and you can put that on now, Mike.
Sorry, I was asleep at the wheel there.
It's all good.
I was finishing my coffee and starting my 7-Up, and
the man has already been talked about.
Hang on, I got to blow up the cover. These are
Sorry,
really small.
Why not drink the coffee and the 7-Up at the same time and save time?
Apollonius Monk live at the It Club was an album I went absolutely crazy for. I wouldn't stop listening to it. Stuff like Around Midnight and Straight No Chaser and a Blue Monk and a Rhythm Amin or however that's said. I just got blown away by it, and it was like a long album. It was like a 2 CD long live album, and I just absolutely fell in love with it, and it was great to actually re-listen to that. I really hadn't heard it in a while, and what a great re-listen. And it's weird how a person can infuse you and shower you with melody all at the same time, and that's the way I look at it with him. Because sometimes you're just like, why are you doing that? But why is it so great? It's a strange player, but yeah, I highly recommend any Apollonius Monk, and so
that's a great recording too. The sound of it is excellent.
That's I fell in love with it so much. I listened to it on headphones so much. It was amazing. Love it.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, my number 4 is I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a cheat. It's a 1994 release tribute album, but it was also the first jazz album I ever bought, and I believe I would have bought this in
I know what it is.
Late '97 after going to see a band in Toronto with Dr. Dave and the gang. We went to see a band called Rush. I believe it was June 30th of '97. I know it was right around Canada Day, but it wasn't Canada Day. I remember that much. And I believe they played a bit of Burning for Buddy during the intermission. I'm not 100% sure. My memory's hazy on this, but one thing led to another, and I bought Burning for Buddy, my first jazz album, based on my experience going to see Rush with you guys. And of course, Neil's drum solo incorporated that jazz section. So Burning for Buddy, I mean, I love the album. It was my introduction to Buddy Rich and a lot of the drummers on the album. But the funny thing is, you got the Matt Sorum track, and it's basically Guns N' Roses. He's playing that double bass. It sounds like Guns N' Roses doing jazz, So it's a bit of a cheat, my pick, but it's a special one. I remember also, after buying it, playing it at work in the CD player. And back then, we were supposed to have the 5 CDs in the shuffle. But I accidentally, instead of hitting the shuffle button, hit the repeat track button. And we heard the first track from Burning for Buddy for about an hour straight. And nobody noticed. Oh, shoot. Anyway, so that's my number 4. Burning for Buddy, the Various Artists compilation that Neil Peart put together in '94.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Over to you, my friend. Number 3.
I would also recommend the Gene Krupa Buddy Rich album.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard it before. I mean, a lot of them I've played in the store too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Taylor went to see the Rush show. Her old boyfriend took her. I hear he was really lame. And I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was.
I do. Before I go on, I have a question. I got to remember what it was. Oh, for Robert. About Herbie Hancock. Do you have the one called Quartet as well?
Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one with it's the Miles Quartet with Freddie Hubbard subbing.
Oh, I don't know. Let me take a look here. Herbie Hancock, Ron Carter, Wynton Marsalis, and Tony Williams.
That's why I was going to mention it. Yeah.
Yes, I do have that.
Funny to buy a Herbie Hancock album for somebody else, but yeah, I did that.
But
it's excellent.
Yeah, it is. I like that record a lot. I saw Wynton in. I think I saw Wynton in '85 or '86, so he was kind of just starting out. But one thing I wanted to mention, of course, one of the most famous jazz bass players, Ron Carter.
Yep.
If you get a chance, check him out on social media. The guy's 84 years old, and he's posting on like Facebook and like Instagram every day. He's either doing videos or he's doing tutorials. He's taking questions. He'll talk about famous sessions that he did. It's amazing to see this 84-year-old, amazing legend, and he's on social media all the time, and he'll just say, oh, on this day I recorded I don't know, like the 3rd Gil Scott-Heron album or something. What's your favorite song from it? And it's just a really neat thing that you can do something like that with Ron Carter, who's, like I say, a huge legend.
Yeah.
84 years old, and he's all over social media. It's wild.
They get interesting as they get older. I remember meeting Doc Cheatham, his 90th birthday, and he was telling some stories. He played. The guy could still play. It was wild. And like there was a giant birthday cake, so we all had a piece of his cake, and we all got to meet him and talk and stuff. And it was just. But as they get older, they start telling these stories, and they lose a bit of their filter. So I wonder if he's the same. I wonder if he's the same way.
Not really. He's pretty lucid, but during one of the lockdowns was lifted at some point in the last 2 years. So his trio was doing a virtual show from Birdland, and I don't know, his grandson or somebody was filming Ron Carter getting out of a cab and then getting his giant double bass from the trunk and wheeling it down the street. And I'm thinking, how come the grandson's not helping out a bit instead of just filming him for social media? Punk.
Be different at our age.
He probably got told not to help.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he's very,
maybe,
like I said, he's very lucid, and he's in great shape, and it's just a real great testament that you can actually interact with Ron Carter these days. It's wild.
Well, I wasn't speaking actually about lucid. I was just speaking about, well, half of these people are dead. They're not going to get me now. So they start telling stories that they might not have told.
Right. Sure. Sure.
I remember him saying he went into Billie Holiday's dressing room one time and asked her out. And he said he never got thrown out of a room so fast. But he said, oh, that was one damn fine woman, he says. So, you want my next record?
Yeah. Let's hear your next pick, man.
Yes, this was recorded January 24th, 1975. It has exactly one player on it. It has become the best-selling solo album in jazz history and the best-selling piano album, and we have a guess.
It's got to be Keith Jarrett.
Yeah. The Cologne Concert. This is 2 LPs of absolute glory. It's really brilliant packaging, white with a little bit of writing on it. But yeah, it's awesome. I have 2 copies of this because I saw a second one and said, yes, please. Just in case I wear one out.
Why not?
But, it's another ECM release as well. Like I said, you can't go wrong. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. It's just another one of those ones that you put on and you just drift with it and your ear catches things, but you're so swept up in exactly all of it that it just doesn't matter. It's awesome.
Yeah, great album.
Nice
I've
pick.
never heard that. That's one I'm down. Very interested.
I love
That
Keith
one
Jarrett.
was. I have a list on reading later from Mike Slan, and spoiler alert, Mike Slan picked that album
That doesn't surprise me.
because you know Mike, yeah,
Well, a little bit,
yeah,
but it's that. Yeah, absolutely. From an instrumentalist point of view.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Robert, what are you picking for your third pick?
So when we talk about albums that are sort of obvious picks, I'm a big tenor sax guy. Coltrane is one of my favorites. So of course, everyone loves Love Supreme, and I do as well. But just in case somebody else is going to, Keith Jarrett.
There you go.
Just in case someone else is going to mention Love Supreme, this is an album recorded right before Love Supreme, Crescent.
Yes,
And it's similar in some of the themes to Love Supreme. It's the same group, McCoy Tyner on piano, of course. But it's just like a little bit of an underdog because Love Supreme is such a big album for Coltrane. Almost any jazz fan in the late 60s would own it on vinyl. And I love it. I love it's incredible. I have a few copies of that one. But Crescent is that moment just right before it when he is exploring some of those themes. He's getting into more of a spiritual place. But it's just a great record from start to finish. So if anyone looking into like what to get maybe after you've got Love Supreme and you love it so much, this isn't a huge leap in either direction. Whereas some of Coltrane's later stuff, he gets pretty out there. So Crescent is one that's like highly recommended. I used to play it in my store whenever it would come in stock, and people would buy it all the time because most people don't know it. Even if you know some of his earlier like Atlantic stuff, like Blue Train, most people don't know Crescent, but it always goes over great. People love it once they hear it, once they give it a chance. So I highly recommend Crescent for Coltrane fans.
2 thumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
Giant
pick.
Steps is my favorite Coltrane.
That one.
And I mean, Blue Train was the first that I listened to, but Giant Steps really, and Love Supreme, just sometimes I'm not actually up to it for whatever reason. And I know it. And that's when I put Giant Steps on.
I defy anybody to be able to recreate the intro to Giant Steps. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, he was, I've read a bit, and he was really quite theoretical. Like he was very progressive, like trying to be progressive jazz and push it in the same kind of direction that, Prague did with rock. But good.
Well, the thing,
good choice.
Coltrane would just keep playing through all the chord changes until they had resolved themselves. So he could just play and play, and he was always, even in between sets, he'd be playing. Other sax players used to sit outside of his house, like on the curb across the street, because Coltrane would be rehearsing in the attic, and they could hear him playing. So he's a guy that, and it's a famous, kind of story of him explaining to Miles, when I play and when I get into it, I don't know how to stop. and Miles says, "Take the horn out your mouth."
Oh,
That's funny. John Coltrane became the definition of jazz for me after a certain point, and I went crazy. I had like 15, 16 CDs. I just couldn't stop, and Crescent was one of them, and that is a great album. There's just so many. Like, let's just say that at first I had 2 of my 5 as a Coltrane, and then I made sure that it was only 1, so I had to pick something in number 1, and we'll see what that is. I love the man. I love hearing just. It's like he is coming up with ideas on the spot, but it's calculated somehow, and I just don't know. I'll never understand how melody is that.
It's fearless.
Natural melody, and fearless is a good way.
Fearless is how you get to that point when you're a musician. You just don't care about making mistakes anymore because you can think so quickly that, not speaking from experience, but you can think very, very quickly in the moment to take what might be a questionable idea and push it in a different direction that might actually work better. I think you just have to keep doing that, like all these decisions going off in your head constantly. Wow. If you get in the flow, then it just flows.
There's that later album that he did where it's just him on horns and Rashid Ali on drums.
Oh my God, that would be amazing because you have the melody and the rhythm totally separated, and yet they're going to integrate anyway.
I think
that must be amazing.
I think it's Interstellar Regions is the one that I'm thinking of. It's got a like a yellow skyline on the cover.
Yes, I've heard that album. Yeah,
Sunset. So yeah, Coltrane on sax and bells. He shakes these bells a lot, and Rashid Ali on drums, just like soloing constantly throughout the thing. It's pretty far out.
Oh my!
Everybody's taking notes tonight.
It's nothing like Love Supreme, that's for sure. It's nothing like Love Supreme.
No.
Good.
Yeah. Did you all get the new one, the Lost Tapes or whatever it was that came out a couple years ago?
Oh yeah, sure. Of course.
Yeah, that was
new Coltrane. I grab it.
Oh,
yeah, it's great.
It's awesome.
All right, Dave, it's your turn.
Okay, I already talked kind of blue. So maybe the show hadn't started, but I mentioned earlier about how I kind of started approaching jazz through guitar because that's what I was trying to learn at that time. And so I had to pick Wes Montgomery. And one of the most fun ones is the dynamic duo that he made with Jimmy Smith, because that is just pure cornpone fun jazz. Like, it's great because like most of the songs are framed in kind of a big band sound that are very punchy, like and then it kind of shrinks down, and usually you get Jimmy Smith soloing on the organ, and he's very aggressive, and Jimmy takes it away, and then Wes takes over on guitar, and he has such a mellow tone. He always played with his thumb, like not a pick or his fingers, always his thumb. And he would always solo in octaves. So it's not just one note, it's the octave that he's playing up and down the neck. And it's just fascinating to watch, like on YouTube or something. And it's just one of the most fun albums. And this was one of the first albums that really taught me that jazz ideally should be really, really fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time, you know.
It's funny because a lot of people don't necessarily look at it like that. It's almost the opposite. It's like that slow jazz, or slow jazz is like a mood setting, like it's dark, and but it doesn't have to be that.
Right. That's exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Eric, you're up next.
Well done.
My number 3. Okay, my number 3 is from a drummer, and I'm surprised that Dave hasn't. I mentioned him already, or maybe that's coming, actually. And You can put the album on the.
That's my next album, Meat. We might as well double team this one.
Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. I had a feeling that Dave was going to be talking about the Witch Doctor as well.
That's my 1A.
Because we have pontificated to each other about this album many, many times, and we've listened to it together many times, and subsequently we've played a lot of music together as well, and it's come up even in that setting. It is just a great album, and it's funny, the Witch Doctor almost did put a voodoo curse on me. I could hear albums after that album by Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, like a Moanin', and there was another album, and Caravan. I liked them, Caravan, but I keep having to come back to the Witch Doctor and listen to it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just such a great collection of songs. Like the heads of the songs, the themes that are stated, where the soloists take them, including Art Blakey himself. But they're so well composed pieces of music, even like jazz music, like consistently hooky. If you approach it to listening to it like my next album, my number one, 1A, is another kind of album that rock guys can really get into. This is one of them. Like it's almost like prog rock, where it's really has consistent themes, like a Yes tune. Like you can kind of recognize all the bits, and by the time it's over, you've kind of seen. You can look back and see the whole picture. These albums are so well written, like the melodies and everything. Like it's just like it's like the Cheap Trick of jazz. Like everything is just so catchy.
Well, it's funny. We were talking about tenor sax is usually what stands out, and Wayne Shorter is fucking awesome on this album. It's great. It's just a mood setter, a melody keeper. I love it so much. I love it from beginning to end. I absolutely loved, the title track so much that I actually, like it was just a part of the listen that there was the alternate take at the end, and you'd always hear the song twice, so it was great. It was cool. And
in Ken Burns' jazz documentary, Brent Marsalis said that the Jazz Messengers and Art Blakey was kind of like a university. Like you mentioned Wayne Shorter. I mean, what does he do after this? This album was recorded in 61, but wasn't released until 69. So there's that weird kind of thing. I mean, that does not happen very often, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
like I said, I'm not surprised.
By the time this album does come out, Wayne Shorter is in Weather Report, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know if 69 is too early, but
no, it's the Weather Report is very early 70s, I believe. Could be wrong there.
But yeah, so we can skip my next turn.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go with my number 3.
Neat.
And then let's take the mid-show break, and then we'll come back and do the top 2.
Yeah.
But you guys have already seen this.
Of course.
1 year at Sausage Fest, you guys voted for "Well, You Needn't."
Yeah.
And that song blew me away. There's one moment in the song about 5 minutes in, and I was listening to it in the car today with Jen, and I was like, listen to this exact moment. And the instruments are playing, they're fast, they're synced, and then at one sudden moment, something drops and it goes kind of dissonant for a minute. And it's over in a second. But it just blows me away every time I hear it. I really love this album. I played it a couple of times this week. Wouldn't have heard it without you guys. I'm not knowledgeable enough to speak any further about it, except to say that that's my number 3, and those are the people that play on it. And that's all I know.
Great band. Every one of those guys are great players.
Yep.
You
It's
can't go
really
wrong.
not yeah, man, it's not a shock that Herbie Hancock is getting mentioned a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the third one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's the round. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? I'm going to play us a song that Aaron knows very well. I think it's his ringtone on his phone by now.
I told T-Bone I figured out how to play it on guitar.
Oh, wow. Cool. Maybe we'll have to get a live version going at some point in the future.
No, that's okay.
Anyway, this is a song called Community by T-Bone Erickson, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes with our top two. All right. See you in 5.
In the fall of '06, somewhere in the sticks of southern Ontario, we planted a seed, had a yearning need we couldn't get from the stereo. Started out as two and it slowly grew into a passionate fraternity. No matter where I roam, it's always home from here to eternity. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's my community. Community, it's my community. So I said, hey Joe, come on, let's go. I hear adventure, it's a calling me. We're gonna lose control down a rabbit hole in the heart of the big city. We're gonna squash a beetle with a rolling stone and fly the black flag all the way back home. If you eat shit flowers, I ain't got time. Don't matter what we find, it's the glue that binds, you see. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's my community. Community, it's my community. It's where we'll thrive with community, and it keeps me alive. Community, it's our community. Community, community, community. Community, it's our community. Community, 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 it's our community. Community, 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 it's our community.
Hola desde Cuba a la comunidad de Aaron.
There we go. Community by T-Bone Erickson. I'll never get tired of that song. And look,
You should have played ODP. That's where they are.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. We've lost them both.
I gotta say, I was so surprised and honored you guys did that video and that song and that whole thing. I'm still floating. How many weeks ago was that?
Getting close to a month.
I know.
Kevin was asking about this album.
Oh, so good.
I think you may be interested in this one. I also love how these old discs, 2 records set on 1 compact disc.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. It's all good. It's all here.
Sounds like it's snowing.
Anyway, there it is. Go get one, Kevin. You can either get it on a 2 record set or you can get it on 1 compact disc. And there's Dr. Dave. Okay, we got everybody back.
Something with me. Are you all right?
It looked like
I'm good.
It looked like he beamed out and then right back again.
Beam me up, Scotty.
He just fell.
He just fell. Okay, so we are all back. You have been returned to us by the Borg Collective. And Aaron will take us into the top 2.
Yay.
Resistance is futile. Listen to jazz.
Indeed.
So, what was that?
That was pretty jazzy.
That's my notification thing. I who knows what that was.
Anytime there's a random noise, just assume it was this window here.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Aaron. Your next pick.
Sure. So my
ahead.
last 2 are picked for personal sort of sentimental reasons. And this one, okay, I'm going to say it's already been mentioned. Jimmy Cobb, Paul Chambers, Wynton Kelly, Bill Evans, John Coltrane, Cannonball Adderley, and Miles Davis.
There it is.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, kind of blue. Now, we already talked about that. Sorry, Uncle Meat. This is
nothing to be sorry about, man.
Premium HQ 180 gram version. Heavyweight audiophile vinyl. Well, but this one, when my lovely wife and I were dating, it's a long time ago now. We would play this and it, just put it on. And what we really liked was that it was like one idea, and then the whole album was just like an improvisation over, like just go. And Miles Davis for me is like I must have 30 different albums, and I don't even know. I've never counted. There's a pile of them between the LPs and the CDs. And sometimes he's too challenging to listen to. Sometimes I can't. He's too jagged or something. And sometimes Miles, I don't know. But other times it's exactly what you need. But this one, anytime. Absolutely anytime. In the car, out for a walk with the headphones on, working around the house, doesn't matter. Put it on. It's all good. So that one has a bit of a personal...
That being one of those nice reissues there, I imagine that's the speed corrected version.
I would have to think so.
Yeah. They all are now.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah.
This one's 2010.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, definitely then. Yeah.
Yeah. I have the CD as well. I think I have a cassette. And I will not be without.
Wow.
When I was in university, I was taking a history of jazz class, and they would play little bits of pieces, and you had to name who the artist and what the name of the piece was. So they played So What, or just the first 20 seconds of it or something. So I wrote down Miles Davis, So What, and then I listed all the players in the orders of their solos. And I thought I was going to get bonus points for that. And on my exam, he wrote smart ass.
Wow.
I still say you win.
Yeah. That's a clear win.
I became an unofficial teaching assistant for that course the next year. So that was kind of fun.
One second, I gotta do something with this dog.
All right. Well, while he is doing something with his dog that we won't ask about, Robert can go ahead with his next pick.
Well, it's too bad that he left because he was talking about having fun with jazz and how some people think jazz is also serious all the time, which can be true. And but anyway, this is an album that is a lot of fun. It's probably one of the earliest jazz albums I ever got. I got it on cassette, I think, when I was probably like 12 or 13. And when people ask me about this artist in the store, this is always the one that I highly recommend. So I'm talking about an album on the Atlantic label, Blues and Roots by Mingus.
There it is.
So again, just a super fun record. It's not even necessarily all jazz. You know, he's got a large band, but there's also, it's almost like some like Baptist church kind of stuff going on. There's a lot of hooting and hollering and just, you know, a lot of a real party kind of atmosphere, but also there's a spiritual side to it. But yeah, almost like a Southern kind of, you know, gospel church vibe on some of it. Tons of fun. I mean, and Mingus himself is a guy who sometimes could get really serious, especially with race relations and politics. His autobiography is really wild to read.
Beneath the Underdog?
Yes, that's right. Beneath the Underdog.
I have it. I've read
Great
it.
book.
Yeah.
It's weird. He goes into some weird places. But yeah, Blues and Roots is a really fun record and a real good like Saturday night kind of, if you're maybe getting ready to go out to a party or even at a party already. Lots and lots of fun. I was listening to it today for the first time in quite a while, and I couldn't believe that it was still as much fun to me as when I first heard it when I was 12 or 13.
Was that a remastered edition that you were holding up earlier?
This one came, yes. So in '98, Atlantic put out a box set, the complete Mingus. So that has all the albums in there, and then they broke them up and put them out individually. And this actually comes with like an outer sleeve with like a window and a booklet and stuff like that. So because I have the box set with all of the albums in it, I don't need those individual ones at all. That's just redundant. So I bought them all.
Gotcha.
And so this is the individual version of the exact album that I have in the box set as well.
So far of everything I've heard about tonight. Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, the liner notes are slightly different. So.
Oh wow!
I don't know if they are. They might not be.
Of all the things I've heard about tonight, that's already the one that's the front runner for the one I want to add to my wish list.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, even if you just check out a little bit of on YouTube or something like that, you'll just hear like party music. You know, like I said, a lot of hooting and hollering and yelling in the background and stuff like that. It's awesome.
It sounds awesome. Sounds like it's good for setting a mood.
Sure.
So, Dr. Dave, you're abstaining from this round because you've already gone, basically.
Well, I got it. Okay, well, it's connected. Her name was Linda.
No, the Encore girl. Yeah, it was Christine.
Oh yes, Christine from Encore. Rest in peace.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And she played this album. She loved this album. That's where I bought the album. I'm pretty sure that's where Meat bought the album.
No, I heard the story from you, and then I ended up getting at the record store that should not be mentioned.
Well, Tom brought it up to me. Like, I'm just wondering where the flow of the relation. I don't know. Whatever.
Dude, it's jazz.
There's no need to,
the flow is jazz.
There's no need to connect the dots. There's no need. The dots can remain individual. So we're gonna go to Uncle Meat with your number two.
Well, we're not gonna be talking about much. We're not gonna be talking about mine long because Aaron already said most of what needs to be said about the man. Love the album. It was a guarantee there would be. I really thought about it, and this is one of the albums I've listened to the most in my life. I myself and an old friend, Jim Weaver, used to play a lot of darts, and I swear we would just listen to this album on a repeat. It's over and over and over again, and I love it. Blue Rondo a la Turk is, to me, it's like, how is this really straight looking guy so progressive? Like it's almost like that the image doesn't match how just the weirdness and creativity that he's capable of.
Well, if I can interrupt, Joe Morello, the drummer, one of the best drum solos you can possibly watch on YouTube is Joe Morello. It's black and white footage. He's wearing a tuxedo, and the drum solo is absolutely incredible. And he looks like a chartered accountant.
Well, that's
It is one of the absolute best drum solos you could possibly watch on YouTube. It's Joe Morello, the drummer for Dave Brubeck. It's absolutely jaw-dropping.
Okay, I'm gonna Google Joe Morello tuxedo drum solo and see what I find, and go from there.
Awesome. Yeah. So
I have a good Dave Brubeck story. Oh no, wait, we already did it.
But this time you actually met him.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish.
All right, well, I guess that brings us to me.
Wow.
And in the comments earlier, somebody mentioned Vince Guaraldi. And, I think for a lot of us, Vince Guaraldi was a gateway, right? Our first exposure to a lot of stuff. But I picked this one, which is Ellis and Wynton Marsalis, Joe Cool Blues. And it's half Guaraldi covers and half originals that are meant to be in the same vein. And I just find it to be just an enjoyable listen from start to finish. I haven't played it in a long time, actually, and I really, as I go through my CD collection and put it on a computer, that's one I got to prioritize. I just found the concept to be really intriguing, and it's a joy to listen to. I love the Guaraldi stuff as well, but this is I don't know, it's just a different taste of it, and I just loved it. So that'll be my number 2, Ellis and Wynton Marsalis, Joe Cool's Blues. And we've lost Aaron. Maybe he's going to get his copy. That's what I think he's doing anyway. There he is. Did he?
Sorry, I did give one of these, but I thought I could get back before you were done.
Okay. Anyway, that's my number 2.
That's an excellent one.
Thank you.
I highly endorse anything with the Marsalis name on it.
Yeah.
I might be biased.
We've definitely heard his name a couple times tonight.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is it my turn?
Yeah. You're taking us into the final round now, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Final round.
So good. So my last one is also a very personal one. It's not the first time I've ever held this album up on one of your shows.
Okay.
And it comes with a story. Because
Okay.
everything has a story. Actually, kind of not related, but I was in Oxford, England in 1990 something.
Yeah.
93,
Good year.
maybe. I don't know, somewhere in there. And Wynton Marsalis had been there like the day before or whatever because he was on a promotional book tour.
Oh.
And so I have this, but what's really awesome is that my girlfriend at the time was so kind. You want to put that back up?
Okay.
Was so kind because it is signed.
Oh, there it is. You can see it. Yeah.
There's the autograph.
Wow.
So this is one of my prized things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now I didn't meet him to get that, but
good enough though.
Yeah. So the last album that I chose, like I said, it's not the first time I've put this on here. Herlin Riley, Reginald Veal, Ellis Marsalis Jr. on piano, and Wynton Marsalis on the trumpet. And this is Standard Time, Volume 3. Trying to get no glare there. Now, on the face of it, this isn't that impressive, really. It's a bunch of standards. Where, when, I cover the waterfront, how are things in Glockamora, that kind of thing. It's a lot of standards, and it's just the two of them. But it is so freaking beautiful. It's just the way they the way they interpret the songs and the way they play them. And Wynton's horn is just soaring. But what has always stood out for me with this one is that I don't know if anyone else here does this. I might be a little bit weird with this, but when I'm buying a new stereo, I have an album that I take with me to test.
Yeah.
Because I trust that album.
Yeah.
And if I can hear that album the way I want to hear it in that stereo, I know I'm doing all right. And that's this one. And I'll tell you why. It's because they did not correct the upright bass. So you get the rattles and the buzzing from the bass. And if you've got it just right, you can hear that. Oh. And so for me, that's what I'm listening for when I am testing a new stereo or whatever. But yeah, I would say this album it's an all-timer for me. It's like a Desert Island disc. I think when we did the Desert Island disc, I picked this one.
That could be. I'll have to go back and check my notes, but that could be.
I'm pretty sure I would have. Yep.
Nice.
And awesome. Finding it on LP was not easy because that was 1990. I think it's around the same time as the book. 1990, actually, this.
Right.
So getting that on LP, I actually have 2 copies.
Wow.
On LP. You. I have the CD as well, which I play more.
Yeah. But
I found the LP after a long search. And then right afterwards, I found another one and I was like, why? Because they just don't come up. I don't think it's ever been reissued. And because Wynton Marsalis only has about 15,000 albums.
You know? Give or take.
Yeah, give or take. I might be embellishing a little bit. Yeah, anyway, that's my last one.
Nice one, Aaron. Thanks for sharing that.
Perfect record. Yep. Love it.
All right. Robert, number 1.
So this is the guy, he had to be on my list, and I do have a box set to show you at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like my number 1 jazz guy. Just in music in general, there's 2 guys who I try to listen to everything that they put out. So I've got tons and tons of stuff by them. One in the rock world is Bob Dylan, and in jazz, it's Miles Davis. So Miles is always represented. To me, Miles just means so much because he changed his styles of music so often. No matter what mood I'm in, there's kind of a Miles record for that. So yes, Kind of Blue covers a lot of ground, but you know, the stuff before that, the stuff after the 80s period, there's a lot of different genres just within Miles. Like he's almost his own thing.
Yeah.
I have slightly over 100 different Miles Davis CDs. So, wow. But this is one that came out in 1972 when he was influenced by Sly Stone and Jimi Hendrix and James Brown, and he wanted to appeal to black young people. Of course, it doesn't sound anything like Sly Stone and Jimi Hendrix. And when it came out, the critics hated it. Downbeat magazine famously gave it 2 stars.
Wow.
But I love it. And it's On the Corner.
Yeah.
So that's my original Columbia Jazz masterpiece version. This is like an import from Japan, and a little mini LP sleeve version. This is the remastered version, and we have the 5-disc box set of On the Corner sessions. So an album that everyone hated when it came out. Now there's all kinds of, but it's one of those records that now it's got a critical reevaluation because it doesn't sound as radical as it did back in 1972. But it's Miles experimenting with loops, and then he's got all kinds of great players in there, but they drift in and out. Famously, when the album first came out, Miles told Columbia not to put any credits on the album.
Whoa! So
the critics couldn't say who was playing what and whether they were good. Years later, we learned it's Dave Liebman on sax, Jack DeJohnette on drums, Chick Corea is in there. There's a tabla player, Badal Roy. All these guys. It's just, you go from Bitches Brew, which is like, a real landmark fusion electric jazz album that Miles kind of, broke all the rules. And some people could get to that. But now when it got to On the Corner, they're like, no, that's enough. It's too much. We can't take it anymore. But I love it. I've always loved it. I always kind of champion the underdog, I'm told. But listening to it today, I just love it so much. It's different. It's more challenging than Kind of Blue or Milestones or any of those kind of records. And it shows Miles is in a different kind of era. And part of the reason I want to add this onto, I had Herbie's Headhunters as an electric fusion kind of jazz record, but that's a fun album. You're talking about Watermelon Man and some of those songs, they're a lot of fun. This is like angry jazz. It's angry Miles. Miles is always kind of angry. Sorry? Is
it that far off the Jack Johnson soundtrack? Because that with John McLaughlin on guitar, I mean, that's amazing stuff.
Right. Yeah. This comes just slightly after that. So it's similar to that, but pushing it a little bit more. But yeah, wow. if you like Jack Johnson, then this wouldn't be a huge stretch for you.
Oh, awesome.
And actually, even though it might look like I have a lot of copies of On the Corner, I don't have the first version that I bought in 1991 when I was in university. I think it was a German import. And man, do I want that thing back. So bad.
This is what we were talking about earlier.
I printed the back cover of the CD off of Discogs just so I could look at it every once in a while and go, oh, yeah, that's the one that got away.
Are they available or are they expensive or would it be easy to replace?
Yeah, I think I can get it for like, I don't know, $15 or something. It's, just I guess not a huge priority because honestly, I might not even play it. It might be one of those ones that just gets filed. But these ones are, I joke about buying all these things. So this Columbia Jazz Masterpiece and this reissue, it's the exact same music, but somehow this one has 4 tracks on it, and this one has 8. So it's all the exact same music. It's just that where they've indexed them are different. So here it's like they just do an index every like 3 songs and they kind of blend them together. Whereas here, each one is its own thing. So you could actually kind of program it different. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It's an odd choice. I'm not sure which one would be more correct. Probably the earlier one.
Well, isn't it? I think it sounds to me like they're just dividing the album up into fewer movements that way.
Yes, yeah,
100%.
Right, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. It's a kind of reinterpretation. Like, where does this theme actually end? Does it end after 5 minutes, or does it include the last 2 minutes of this?
Right. Yeah.
Improvisatory. Yeah, it's fast. That's why this is fascinating.
But I believe that this one would be more accurate to the original vinyl, where each of those 8 tracks would have their own band. It was kind of weird when this one came out that they grouped some of them together. But yeah, if you're just listening to it, if you just had it on, you wouldn't notice.
Right.
It's only if you're looking at your stereo that you see the numbers changing a little more often on this one than on this one.
The only way that would really impact your listening, and why would you do this anyway? But if you were listening on a shuffle.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Then you would notice.
Well, thanks, Robert. I'm not going to comment anymore on Miles Davis because I have a feeling we're going to talk about him again. Dr. Dave, what is your 1A?
So when Aaron was talking about the Marsalis album, then not correcting the bass so that you could hear like
the rattle.
That bass is an acoustic instrument, and it's mic'd, and you can't like. I almost dislike not hearing that stuff.
Yes.
And that even happens with my number 1 album. It is my number 1 jazz album. It's Mingus.
Yes.
I mean, Jesus. When I discovered this album, I listened to Boogie Stop Shuffle, and I'm like, what is this reminding me of? Oh yeah, it's reminding me of the soundtrack or the theme song to the animated Spider-Man show. I mean, that is total Spider-Man. Like,
Spider-Man, my God,
totally copied that. They copied that, and that's one of the things that I watched the Spider-Man before I ever heard Charles Mingus. the Spider-Man.
The Batman.
But
Spider-Man.
you know, we all know that theme song, right?
Yeah, sure.
I never put that together.
Same vibe as Boogie Stop Shuffle on Mingus. And there's so much range on that album. Not on this album, but I still think the intro bass riff to Haitian Fight Song is one of the best bass riffs ever. Like, ever.
Yeah.
And like Mingus is just, there isn't a stiff second on it. It's way funkier than most jazz. It's the blues and roots, the roots that you were talking about of blues and roots. I mean, it's Southern, it is gospel, like all of this stuff. Caribbean, like he was such a polyglot and a pianist and a bass player, like just an amazing composer. I think as far as major jazz figures, he's the most underrated composer in jazz. I mean, just, oh my God, like that whole album.
Even being highly rated, he's still underrated.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, basically. I mean, he went deep instead of far. Like, it seems to me that some jazz musicians like Coltrane go really, really far. Mingus goes deep. And like, I mean, Blues and Roots was a perfect album title. This one is just kind of a play because, I mean, we talked about Beneath the Underdog earlier. Like, it's a fascinating read. And he's just one of the biggest characters. Oh, and we share a birth date, actually. So, not the same year, but April 22nd. So I kind of relate to the guy, even though I do not believe in astrology.
Okay.
The music speaks to you.
Yes, the music does.
And it speaks you more than it would have if you were born on April 23rd or 24th.
No, I'm just, well, there's a kinship. There's a kinship there.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay.
If you think,
I just want you to be happy in your beliefs. That's all.
Yeah. So yeah, this I'd also say actually that this is one of those albums. Like Mingus is, as a jazz guy, is one of those guys that rock people tend to gravitate to. Like, they find it really easy to digest.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can kind of hear the Police in this in a way. You know, obviously Mingus first, but like it really does just expand and expand and expand. It's great.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, Eric.
Pretty cool. Okay. For my number one, I knew it was going to be Coltrane of some sort, and it was kind of hard to pick. And it's, I mean, I've talked about A Love Supreme on the show before, and I mean, that would probably be the one that, you know, like that I first thought of, and it was like, okay. And then I was thinking more about it, and I'm like, I think there is an album that I've listened to more than any other Coltrane album, and a lot of it, it's been more in the later part of my jazz thing, like people that I don't think are necessarily jazz fans. This album is the album that I think of what to play somebody if you want to tell somebody about jazz. If you want to tell somebody what jazz is, to me, it's this album. It's this album from beginning to end. In a sentimental mood in the beginning. That song is a movie in a song. You could write a movie in the feeling that song gives you. It's just so beautiful. Big Nick, the only song that is completely that is a Coltrane written song. I love it so much. I listen to it on its own so much. And my little brown book, just love it so much. I love this album so much. I've listened to it so much, and it's had to. I mean, I had to pick one Coltrane thing, and it just worked out. That, you know, I honestly believe that I have tried. You know, it's been my definition to people to try jazz on them, and I love the album. It's my number one.
Nice.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, my number one. I'm not going to ask Robert to I'm going to ask Robert to guess it, but I know he's going to get it. It's just a matter of how quickly. So I'm going to read you the front sticker, and then you jump in when you've got it, okay?
Okay.
An absolute masterpiece by Miles. Features Steve Grossman, Herbie Hancock, John McLaughlin, Mike Henderson, and Billy Cobham.
At the Fillmore?
Check out Ken Burns' new PBS, blah, blah, blah. Miles' controversial soundtrack, celebrating, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
Jack Johnson.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah. This was my introduction to Miles. And Dave, you mentioned this one earlier. I guess this one came out about 2 years after, or 2 years before On the Corner, I guess.
Yeah.
Mike Stern is on that?
It says, sorry, who?
Mike Stern?
No, I don't think so.
No. Mike Henderson.
Oh, okay.
Henderson.
That, okay. Sorry,
Two
I
tracks.
had a brain fart.
I love it. 2 tracks, side 1,
Yeah.
side 2, basically. People said to me when I bought this album, they're like, that's too much Miles all at once. It's too thick, it's too dense. You're not going to like it. But I loved it. And one of my favorite actors, the late great Brock Peters, does the end of the voice of Jack Johnson at the end. There's a picture of the man right there, the boxer, Jack Johnson. Love it. I love it. I want more Miles Davis. And because of tonight, I think I'm going to make On the Corner my next Miles Davis purchase. Seems like a natural place to go after loving this. And also, just look at that cover. That is so awesome, that image. That is so iconic. Man.
Yeah, it's almost like a boxing pose picture in a way. Like it's just like his version of it.
Almost, yeah.
He did like boxing a lot.
Yeah.
I guess this is the rock jazz fusion that you guys have been talking about. There's a lot
John
of guitar stuff
McLaughlin.
going on here.
It's John McLaughlin. I mean, there's a
And Billy Cobham.
Oh God. Well, the thing about that album is that Cobham is often pretty restrained, but there's still this simmering quality. It's like it's just simmering, and it can explode at any moment. And it just keeps that tension going for so long. It's just it's pretty intoxicating to listen to.
Intoxicating is a good word, yeah. I felt the same way about that Herbie Hancock album, the quartet that I listened to as well. But that's my rookie list. I feel kind of like a jackass going final with such a rookie list. But fortunately, Robert has, I guess, a couple more box sets to show off, perhaps. Oh, one question for Robert though: is there like a beefed up 5-disc sessions version of this?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes, I have it.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty wild. I think it's the Jack Johnson's. Yeah, Jack Johnson. I think it's like 5 or 6 discs. The Silent Way box is only 3, but most of them they tend to do 5. I think 5 to 6 discs. There's a whole series of them. Like when you see my On the Corner, and they have these like metal spines. So they're all like that. There's like one for the Second Great Quintet, and there's the Bitches Brew one. I think there's like 7 of these, or maybe more altogether. I have them all, I think.
So are those albums like obvious evidence that instead of like showing up for Kind of Blue, and Miles Davis basically gives not even chord progressions but scales and modes? Like it's modal jazz. Like there's no chord progression. You're given scales to work within, and it was spontaneous. Like Kind of Blue wasn't recorded all in one take, as the myth says, but it was still extremely off the cuff because of the limited information Miles gave the other musicians. But those albums obviously seem like he got into jamming.
Right.
It seems to me like I never made that connection before.
There's I follow like a Miles Davis fan group or something on Facebook, or a fan page, and somebody just like a week or so ago said, has anyone ever seen the drum charts for the Bitches Brew album? I'd really like to see those. And I responded, there's no charts for that album. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Miles would show them a few changes, and then just like away we go,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, that's some serious playing.
Yeah.
I have a question for Robert. Where do you live and can I move in?
Whoa, look at
There's a spare bedroom not being used.
Wow.
I guess I won't be adding that to my wish list tonight. Wow. No, I'll go with like a standard version of On the Corner, I think, as my next jazz, my next Miles purchase.
Yeah, you should be able to find that pretty easily. That remastered one.
Very cool. That's all
I
need.
think that's a great album cover that should be framed.
Yeah, truly.
He's really happy.
Truly, that is a great piece of art. Yeah.
Speaking of which, you see how I have records hanging on the wall?
Yeah.
Right here beside me.
Hey.
Sketches of Spain.
Sketches of Spain.
I've heard that one's also a lot to digest.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I have about 3 versions of it. Don't panic, though. I have a rescue mission. I work in a thrift store. And so sometimes we'll get in records. Like you'll get a Miles Davis Sketches of Spain and you'll go, oh my God, this is going to be worth a fortune. But then the record looks like somebody's dog chewed on it.
Yeah.
So I'll put them out and nobody will buy it. And then I buy it and I don't care about the record. I hang them up.
Right.
So
makes sense.
Because somebody else might do that too, right? Like I'm not putting them out there hoping I get, all of them. I just put it out there and figure somebody might. But yeah, so that's been hanging right beside me the whole time.
Nice.
Awesome. That's cool, Aaron.
Yeah.
I think you have a Mike Slayan list, Mike.
I do, actually. I'll read that real quick. Mike Slayan, San Diego guitar player, sent me this list. Vince Guaraldi, Charlie Brown Christmas. Yay. Keith Jarrett, the Colton concert. Second time we've seen that. Pat Metheny, question and answer.
Ooh.
Antonio Carlos Jobim, Ellis and Tom. And Dave Brubeck, timeout.
Oh my God. Wow.
So Dave Brubeck seems to be the champion tonight, even though
he was an honorable mention
showings
for me. So
yeah. Robert, did you have some cool box sets you were going to show me?
Well, first I got a cool Dave Brubeck story, actually.
Pushing it forward relentlessly.
So I brought out three box sets that I thought some of you guys maybe haven't seen, or some of the people watching haven't seen. And these are 3 of probably my favorite jazz box sets.
Cool.
So this is a 20 CD Miles Davis complete at Montro.
Whoa.
So it's like every performance that he played at Montro that was professionally recorded from 73 to 91. It's like too much maybe for the average Miles person. I bought it the first day it came out. I was in Sacramento at the time at that store I was working at. And the first thing I did was burn a copy of every disc in one day and mail it to my buddy Mark. I think he was living in Seattle at the time. I was like, here, suck on this. 20 CDs of live Miles. So you get them in different configurations, different bands. And then a couple years later, they reissued this actually as a 10 DVD box set. So it's not quite all the performances because they didn't film some of the earlier ones. But I have that as well, and that's really great. But this just covers a lot of these, late 80s, early 90s bands that Miles had every time he was in Montreux. So had to have it. It's pretty heavy compared to some box sets, but it's nothing compared to my next box set. So this was a guy who I was going to put on my list. And I thought, well, I'd rather show the box set. My favorite piano player of all time, Bill Evans, who was mentioned before because, of course, he plays on Kinda Blue. But this is hold on a second. This is the 18 CD.
Oh, wow.
Complete Verve. And I don't know if you can tell.
It's metal.
It's metal. And it's heavy as hell. And it's actually, when you bought it, it came with a note that says it's supposed to rust over time, so that each copy will have its own unique cover on it.
That's cool.
So I forget how many of these they made, but it's when you open it up, it's got this heavy hinge on it.
Wow.
Yeah, you see that at the back.
Holy cow.
So it's a 100-page book of liner notes.
Wow.
And then
That's
this is
crazy.
Look at that.
the
That's the CD
18
wallet.
Yeah, so it's just 18 CDs of complete verb recordings. So since you have this, you don't need to get any of the individual verb albums on CD. You know where I'm going with that. I picked up a whole bunch of them just because it's kind of easier to access because this thing is so, you gotta be careful where you put this because if it falls, it could do some serious damage to your flooring or
your foot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know what this weighs. We should actually weigh it. It's quite heavy. But
Doctor, I broke my foot on a Bill Evans box set.
Yeah, right. So this is like something I'm really happy to get. Of course, way out of print. I don't remember how many they made of it, but I don't know what it goes for now. Somebody can look it up on Amazon or something. But a great piece for
today. Each one would look unique.
Yeah, that's right. I had a customer a few years ago who, I don't know if he's kind of bragging, but he just said, I have this Bill Evans box set. And I said, yeah, I have it. He said, well, this is the one that rusts, though. It looks very unusual. I said, yeah, I know. I got it. I'm good.
Mine's rusting, too.
Yeah, they're all rusting. They're all, I don't remember if it had a sticker on it that explained how the rust was going to happen throughout the years, or if there's something inside there. I'd have to check, but yeah, that's what that's all about. So my third box set. Yeah, this is a guy, another crazy sax player, who is you talk about underrated guys or guys who don't get that much. $400 shipping.
Ouch.
The shipping is going to be like
it's heavy. That's not a couple of DVDs.
No, that's actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I can imagine the shipping on that. Yeah, so this is a guy that I love a lot. A lot of people don't seem to like him. There's a lot of stories going around. When he was starting out, he'd go to jazz clubs where guys were playing, and he would ask if he could sit in with them and just kind of blow for a while. And they'd say, "Come on in and play," and 5 minutes later they're like throwing him out in the street. So this is Albert Aylor.
Yes.
And this is a very,
oh my god,
this one, it must say somewhere on it how many they made. So this is a 9 CD box set of all unreleased stuff that's not on any of his Impulse recordings, or I think he recorded for ESP originally. Did a few albums with them. Then Coltrane actually got him signed to Impulse, and I think he was Impulse for most of the rest of his career. So when you open it up, we have a nice hardcover book here with liner notes, and there's a transcribed interview from a radio appearance, I think. And there's some like tour books or program reproductions. Each of the discs come in these really nice sleeves.
Nice. I like that.
So yeah, 9 CDs of all previously unreleased stuff. Then you got a disc of like when he was in the Navy or something. Reproduction of a letter he wrote home. Reproduction of a photograph of him as a kid. And even this wee dried flower.
What the hell?
That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
So about that spare bedroom,
Aaron.
There is a lot of music here, so you won't get bored for a while. There's a lot of music here.
He'll never leave. He'll be like the guy that crashes on the couch that you can't get rid of.
Aaron has fallen in love with you.
I have a wall that looks very similar to that, but you have many things that I do not have.
Yeah, this is like N through W or something. My jazz section is across on the other side of the room, and A to D or something is to my side here. Yeah, I kind of did a rough estimate last night. I sent a picture to Mike that I think I have probably about 1,000 jazz CDs, and of those, like 120 are going to be Miles or something. And I think I have about 50 Coltrane or something like that. Another tenor guy I really wanted to put on my list is Pharaoh Saunders.
Yes.
who I really, really love. And I had a chance to see him live in Sacramento, which was like a mind-blowing experience. But I knew I had to, Coltrane is kind of like the guy. So guys like Albert Aylor and Pharaoh Saunders and Sam Rivers and all these other tenor guys that I love so much. We had to, maybe that's a separate show, just saxophone guys.
We'd have to come back and do that.
Yeah.
Have
So
you
anyway,
heard?
there's 3 really kind of definitely out of print.
Those are
and
beautiful.
unusual box sets.
They're absolutely beautiful treasures.
Have you heard the new Floating Points Pharaoh Saunders album?
Yeah, it's it made my top 10 list last year.
Okay. I was just going to say, because that made a lot of lists.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's
It is.
yeah, it's spiritual, and it's kind of taken, a lot of his earlier stuff was really spiritual, his impulse stuff. Yeah, I'm a big Pharaoh guy. I like him a lot. So when I saw he had a new album coming out, that was like a no-brainer. And then I started reading the reviews. Yeah, I love it. It's a little different. Because there's some like electronic. Sorry.
I find it meditative. Like you put it on and it's very repetitive.
Yeah,
like
sure.
The electronic part is, and then he plays and you go, oh, that's why.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I just want to thank you all for spending your Saturday night with me. Real quick, we're going to plug Robert's books because you are the author of Still Competition, The Cheap Trick Story. You're the author of Rasmus Nazareth, and Wheatfield Soul, The Guess Who.
That's right. I got that one right here.
So you can
Wheatfield Empire. My wife came out with that
Empire,
name, so we got to get it right, or else she
can't.
won't do anything.
Wheatfield Empire. So you can, I believe you can buy some of these books directly from you, but you can definitely get them on Amazon too.
Yeah, the Nazareth book is out of print, so I have copies of that one. If anyone is interested, I can still hook them up. The Cheap Trick book is available through Amazon and through the publisher Friesen Press, and the Guess Who book also is through all international Amazon sites as well as the publisher Friesen Press. I had a bunch of Wheatfield Empire. I think I'm down to like my last 2 or 3. So if somebody wants a signed copy directly from me, they better act now.
They better act fast. And make sure you keep one for yourself too, Robert. You don't want to end up with no copies.
That happened.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, that actually happened because I was selling all my hardcovers, and a lot of people like hardcovers. They look really nice, and I kept signing hardcovers and sending them out, and then one of the bass players in the Guess Who, he was touring with Carl Dixon, and I know him. I interviewed him for the book and stuff. I thought, well, this would be the first guy in the band I can get to sign my book, and I realized I didn't have any hardcovers left. I'm like, that's not supposed to happen.
We're getting too many tragic stories tonight.
Oh, I got a million of them. What I did, I ordered a hardcover copy of my own book from Amazon, just so I could have it, so I could get Burton to sign it and all the guys when I see them next. But then there was a snowstorm or something, so I didn't end up going to the concert, to the Carl Dixon concert. So I still have that hardcover in a box, and I keep planning on doing like an unboxing video where I show that I got mail, and it turns out that it's just my own book, and just kind of
spoiler alert,
show how dumb I am. But we haven't gone around to making that video, so there's actually an Amazon box on a shelf over there with my own. I had to buy it.
Well, folks, now you know what the video's about.
Well, yeah. Spoiler: Robert's not that bright.
Well, you certainly are when it comes to jazz, and thank you for educating me, especially. But I'm definitely adding some albums to my list tonight. Definitely. Awesome.
And I kept a list.
Oh,
whoa!
Nice.
Of everybody's picks. And I'd like to say there are 5 guys, 25 albums, and we had 3 duplicates.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. That's
out of all of jazz, the 100 and whatever year history of jazz, we still had 3 duplicates.
Well, that's one thing I would leave on. For me, I'm pretty conscious of early 50s, but really mid 50s to early 60s. That is so much of what I like.
Yeah.
I mean, like the Mingus, Miles was
Wakey.
doing, Blakey, absolutely. Yeah. Blakey went into the 70s. I mean, that was a rugged man. But anyway, yeah, that the 50s, 60s, I mean, I love that era, and I think we all do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys. I will see you all again down the road. It's been I had a great time tonight, and I'm definitely spending some dollars. As always, we go out on a song. You know what? Since Jacob Moon, since his new album just came out, and we'll plug the new Jacob Moon. We just got that in the mail. We'll go out on a Jacob Moon song. We're going to go out on his version of Steve Earle Someday, which, again, we had Jacob on the same weekend that we had Robert in the summer. So that's kind of nice synchronicity there.
And Robert and Dr. Dave, it's a great pleasure to meet you both.
Yes, thank you. You as well.
Thank you, guys. We'll definitely, Robert, we'll have to have you on again. Maybe we'll do a story called like tragic rock stories, and we'll have you as a special guest.
I got a Miles Davis story that's pretty bad.
A Motley Crue?
No, Miles Davis.
Oh, Miles Davis? Oh, okay.
Boy.
All right. Well, I think that this is going to happen. We'll have Robert on again for story time with Robert.
Well, it's been great. Like, I really like all the different picks, and it was just great. And it was
thank you, everybody. I'm going to have a blast shopping on Amazon and elsewhere tonight. But again, let's go out on a Jacob Moon song. This is Jacob Moon's covering. Oh, that's cool. Jacob Moon covering Someday by Steve Earle, live on the LeBrain Train. Thanks very much, guys, and we will see you all another time.
Thanks,
Have a great night.
Good night.
Play us out with a song that's for Mr. Eric Litwiller here, and for the good old times of living in Kitchener-Waterloo and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
And this is a Steve Earle song. All right.
Yeah.
Because I know that Eric is right into Steve Earle, or was.
big time.
We both are.
All right.
We both are.
All right. So here it is. It goes something like this. There ain't a lot that you can do in this town. Drive down to the lake and then you turn back around. Go to school so you can learn to read and write, so you can walk into the county bank and sign away your life. I work at the filling station on the interstate, yeah, pumping gasoline and counting out of state plates. You ask me how I sent to Memphis, son, and where's the nearest beer? Well, they don't even know that there's a town around here. Someday I'm finally gonna let go. I know there's a better way. I wanna know what's over the rainbow. I'm gonna get out of here someday. Now, my brother went to college 'cause he played football. Me, I never even got through high school at all. Got me a 67 Chevy, she's low and sleek and black. Someday I'll put her on the interstate and never look back. Yeah. Someday I'm finally gonna let go. I know there's a better way. Well, I wanna know what's over the rainbow. I'm gonna get out of here someday. I'm gonna get out of here someday.
Wicked.
Beautiful team, man.
Awesome.